keep talking about this, and I keep failing to articulate, I think, how important this is. So please bear with me, to anyone who bothers to watch these videos, and if you do, I appreciate it. I really do. If you were the elite and you wanted to keep your peasants, your slave class, the second-rate citizens in line, and you wanted to keep them basically on the hamster wheel, so to speak, maintaining and functioning in society so as to continually line your pockets, right? If you wanted to maintain that, you have to essentially remove the primary influencers of the new generations of workers. How do you do that? How do you accomplish that? It's pretty simple. You have to get rid of those primary influences. Now, who are the primary influencers of the next generation? It's men. It's fathers, teachers, coaches, male role models. Those are the primary influencers of the next generation every single time. And the elite, whoever they are, and frankly, I'm not going to claim to know exactly who they are. I don't know who they are. Not really. But I know they exist. I know they exist for sure. The way they try and undermine the next generation is by destroying the father, destroying the male role model. You see it all the time, in media, social media, YouTube, Netflix. I mean, frankly, you've seen it for the last 15 to 20, last 50 years. Every single television show, when it displays the family structure, it makes the father look like a bumbling idiot. Something I can recall from my childhood is this show called Good Luck Charlie. Now, this was a perfectly fine show for the most part. It appeared to be harmless, but it had a whole lot of subliminal messages in it. The father in the show, the character's name is Bob, and he ran a business. He's a provider for the household, and he's got a catchphrase: "Bob's bugs be gone." It's like the name of his business, right? Basically, he's an exterminator. The show portrays Bob as a incompetent fool. He's obese, he's bald, his son's an idiot. By the way, his son is the oldest, firstborn child. Think about that. While his teenage daughter is portrayed as a very intelligent individual. His wife is portrayed as a very intelligent individual. And this is not me saying that women are not intelligent. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it subliminally presumes that men in positions of authority on the local level, i.e. fathers or firstborn sons, they're disemboweled, essentially. They're treated like puppet show figures, and it's not good. And the truth is that Good Luck Charlie is just one out of thousands of shows, and I did not stutter there. Thousands. There are thousands of these types of television shows that your children see and view and watch every single day. And here's the thing. That stuff influences your kids. School influences your kids. Media influences your kids. And every hour you spend away at your job, away from your kids, away from your wife, away from your home, negatively impacts your children. Now, I hold no ill will against my father or my mother. They did as best as they could, and they brought up 4 sons in this world, and they had this, the deck was kind of stacked against them in a lot of ways, but they were able to come out on top, and I'm so thankful that they did as well of a job as they could raising me and my siblings. It's just been made aware to me that if my father didn't have to deal with the financial burden and he didn't have to work so many hours in a day, I remember at one point he would be working 18-hour shifts at his job on a night shift schedule. to top it all off, in a high stress environment, just to come home and deal with a whole bunch of nonsense that he didn't need to deal with. If that had not been a reality he had to deal with every single day, I would be better off as a man right now. I'd be smarter, I'd be wiser, I'd have more practical experience, I'd be better. And I acknowledge that. And I realize that. And that's my goal with my future family. Okay, I want to be physically present with my kids. I want to spend as many hours as possible tutoring them, raising them, directing them, guiding them. I don't want outside influences telling them how my kids should think, telling them how they should view the world, because that's kind of how I was raised. And I don't mean that as a form of flack against my father or my mother. I really don't. It's just the reality of our situation. And this is the reality of almost all middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class families. Okay? The dad is out of the home. He's working. Now the mom is working because both of them have to work just to be able to maintain a decent standard of living, if they want a standard of living. And so that means the kids are constantly in the hands of somebody else. They're in the hands of school. They're in the hands of neighbors. They're in the hands of babysitters. They're not in the hands of the father. And look, the data is very clear on this. The father is one of the most important figures in a child's life, both the son and the daughter. If you take the father out of the equation, hour by hour, day by day, month by month, year by year, that's how you lose an entire generation of men and women. And that's how the elite keeps us running on the hamster wheel. These are my thoughts. You don't have to like, but I appreciate comments and I appreciate discourse. If you disagree, feel free to talk about it with me in the comments. I would love to have a conversation, because that's how we win. We don't stop talking. We keep conversing. We keep the discourse. If we don't discuss, if we don't speak to each other, that's how we lose.